This time on the Coach's Cut with Mike Tice, we're breaking down the battle from the last night between the Rams and Seahawks, plus some more key matchups from the weekend ahead, and later a breakdown of the state of the Raiders. All that and so much more coming up right now. Welcome inside the Coach's Cut. I'm your host, Mike Davis, joined by Coach Mike Tice. Great to see you, Coach. So let's start with this, a big-time Thursday night football showdown for first place in the NFC West. The Rams traveled to Seattle and lost in an overtime thriller. Now it was a 16-point comeback, and the Seahawks are now in first place, Coach. So the rest of the schedule for these guys, it's going to be interesting to see what this looks like. Tell us, do you think they can hold on to first place?
Well, they have a tougher road, Mike, and my hat's off to the Seahawks losing the turnover battle and winning the game. Last time they played the Rams, they lost the game, lost the turnover battle. This time they fared much better. But moving ahead, the Rams have the Falcons and the Cardinals, and the Seahawks have Carolina, who's battling for first place this week against Tampa Bay, and at the 49ers. They have a much tougher road to endure and navigate than do the Rams.
So it's pretty crazy seeing how that NFC West is shaking out. But there's more teams this weekend that can clinch first place. Tell us about some of those matchups.
Yeah, Mike, there's three teams that this week. Last week there were three teams that played at home that could clinch. The only ones that didn't clinch were the Patriots. Of course, the Broncos and the Rams clinched. This week, three teams on the road can clinch. Your Eagles are going to the Commanders, which they do twice in the last 3 weeks. And they're going to fare pretty well. They're defensively, that's been carrying them. They're getting a little bit better offensively. They seem like they're getting out of the funk of, this is not right, that's not right, and realizing there's 3 games left, the three-game season. So I like the Eagles. They look good there. The Patriots are traveling to the Ravens. Now, this is an interesting game. The Ravens are the favorite. The Patriots have to win to clinch. That's it. But the Ravens have a chance to win the division. They finish the season with the Steelers. They finish with the Steelers.
So, I mean, it's a big
but
they scheduled it on purpose.
Let me jump around a little bit. The Steelers have to play Detroit this week in Detroit. This whole thing could change in the North there in that division. And then the last one, of course, are the 49ers, who are really on the move. Winners of 4 in a row against the Colts, who are losers of 4 in a row. I mean, they tried last week. They held that vaunted Seattle offense last week to 6 field goals.
Yeah.
That Colt game is a big game that other teams will be watching, because if the Chargers win, the Jaguars win, and the Bills win, and Indy loses, they all clinch as well.
It's like the NFL schedules this on purpose. What did you think, Coach, of Phillip Rivers and his return last week, 44?
Fortunately, he didn't embarrass himself for his high school, all those kids that were watching. He just has no arm strength there, so they have to do everything with timing. But what I'd like to see in that matchup, Mike, is their number, where are they at? I think they're number 6 in the league in rushing yards right now. If they want to win this game, they got to go back to how they were when we talked about them early in the season. They got to be number 1 in the league in rushing.
Right.
They just got to hand the ball off to Jonathan.
Okay, and for these 3 clincher matchups, do you have predictions?
Well, your Eagles should fare well unless they turn the ball over, but they should fare well. They have a lot at stake. They can clinch. The Patriots, this matchup is intriguing to me, especially since the people that know a lot more than we do have the Ravens as the favorite. That's going to be a tough matchup, but I think the Patriots are a well-coached football team, and they should win that matchup. The 49ers are pretty good right now, and I feel bad for our friend Chris Ballard this weekend.
Same with me. All right, I agree with you on all those matchup guys. Next coming up, we're talking some more first-place battles from the weekend. You don't want to miss it when we come back after these words. All right, welcome back to the Coach's Cut. So 2 first-place division battles are going down this weekend. Let's break them down, Coach. So first, the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Carolina Panthers, both 7-7, and they haven't played each other yet. So, Coach, who do you think wins this one?
Well, the ho-hum division. So the Buccaneers have some key injuries. They lost Tice Smith, their safety. He's out. And then you have 2 big-time receivers, Godwin and Michael Evans, who haven't been practicing much. And then you add to that Levante Smith, a linebacker. They've been limited all week. That's going to make it tough, especially the receivers being out for Baker. The Panthers, Bryce Young, he's been playing better. They lost their left tackle this week. He's out. And then their defensive tackle, Warren's been limited very much. Dowdle, the running back, and McMillan, the wide receiver. McMillan's been banged up as well. This is kind of be an interesting matchup. I hate to sound like a broken record, but if the quarterback that plays the best and doesn't turn the ball over should win. I look at this to be a low-scoring contest, and I look at this to maybe a big special team play somewhere along the line. Carolina is at home. Let's see if that crowd gets involved. Tampa isn't playing real well right now, so this is an interesting matchup. I'm going to lean towards Carolina at home taking this.
Really? Okay,
yes.
Yeah. And it's crazy because how good Baker and the Bucs had started off the season. So it's very fascinating how they're kind of on this downward spiral. But tell us a little bit about the schedule for both of these teams after this.
Really interesting. Excuse me, Mike. The Buccaneers have at the Dolphins. Okay, new quarterback
no
next
Tua,
right, no Tua, and they finish with the Panthers at home.
Wow.
So another one of those matchups that is going to see itself again in a couple of weeks. The Panthers, though, they got to play the Seahawks, but at home. And then, of course, they finish at the Bucs. This is going to go down to the wire, man.
It's weird. I haven't seen the NFL schedule these things where divisional games the two of the last 3 weeks. So
it's unbelievable,
We're
Mike.
seeing how that's going to go. Okay, so you're taking the Panthers in that one. Interesting selection there. Now, second game that we have to watch here for first place divisional battle. It's the Bears and the Packers. They're going to battle this one out, of course. Who do you think's going to win this? Of course, no Micah Parsons.
Well, there's key injuries to both teams. We know that the Packers have lost Tucker Kraft, their great tight end. They've lost Micah Parsons and his 12.5 sacks. But on top of that, Watson re-injured that shoulder last week, and Jacobs hasn't really practiced this week with a knee. So they're banged up pretty good. But they're a good football team. They find ways to win, and they play really good, solid defense. They're number 5 in the league on defense. The Bears, however, lost two of their key receivers in Udunze and Burden. They're out, and Swift is dealing with a groin all week. Now, Chicago is the only team in the league that have 2 running backs, Monange and Swift, that have over 650 yards. So Chicago's going to have to lean on running that football, keep this scoring down, and get a big win at home. I'm still, Chicago's created 30 turnovers, Mike. I'm going to go with Chicago.
Really?
In this one. Yes.
Okay, see, and tell us about the schedules, though, for the last 2 weeks after this.
Pretty doggone tough for the Bears.
Really?
The Bears have to play at 49ers and home against the Lions.
Okay, they've had a tough schedule all season long, yeah.
And the Packers, tough because if the Ravens can win this week against the Pats, they're going to be fired up. They play the Ravens and at the Vikings.
So your take on this, just like you said with the Bucs and the Panthers, you said it's going to come down to quarterback play. Is that who has the edge in this?
I think the Bears have the edge defensively, even though the yardage-wise, the Packers have better numbers, but the Bears are out there creating turnovers. And if they can get a couple turnovers, a couple extra possessions, control that clock with the run game, I still think, Johnson does such a great job, Ben Johnson, that is, the coordinator, the head coach coordinator. He's going to play action him if he can get that run game going. So I like the Bears at home. That crowd's going to be fired up, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy thing seeing, the NFC South is such a, like you said, a ho-hum division, not a lot of talent there. In the North, I mean, the Lions, who would have thought they would be the third best team in that division?
Hey, this thing's not over in the North. The Lions could sneak their way in there. I mean, it's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
It's coming down to a 3-week season.
Exactly like you said at the beginning of the year. You said you look at the NFL as a 3-week league, and now we got the last 3 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, coming up after a short break, we're going to be taking a look at the state of the Raiders. That isn't so much fun. Should Pete Carroll return? What should they do at the top of the draft? Coach is going to answer all the key questions. All right, welcome back to the Coach's Cut. Thanks so much for joining us. Coach, let's talk Raiders. As much as we don't want to, let's still go through this exercise. So currently sitting at 2-12, not the season anyone expected at a first-year head coach with the Raiders, Pete Carroll, proven winner, a Super Bowl winning head coach. He's done it, won at every level. But now let's see what we should do moving forward. Do you think the Raiders and Mark Davis should move on from a guy like Pete Carroll after this first season?
Well, when people see the interview we did with Coach Mike Smith and Brian Billick for next week's show and talking about head coaching changes, Mike made a very significant point about the number of 11 in the last couple of years of one-and-done head coaches. Both head coaches, Brian, Mike, and myself, are against any head coach being fired. You know, they don't even have all their players in there yet.
Right.
They still have to build their roster. And to give a man one and done, he's already made some significant staff changes. I'm sure he's going to make some more staff changes.
Right.
My issue with the evaluation of the roster early on when Pete talked to us, he didn't hit it quite right. You know, there's not as much talent there. And of course, we know Pete is a very positive man. And you guys spoke about that in our interview. But I just think that the talent's not there for a man to win. So give him a chance to bring in some better talent and then see what he can do. So my answer is no, I don't think Mark should make a change.
Really? Well, and let's stay on this for a second, because as you alluded to in that Coaches Roundtable interview, which everybody's going to want to watch next week with you, Brian Billick, and Mike Smith, you made a really poignant comment saying you just think he misevaluated the state of the roster. My question to you is, do you think a lot of that is just coaches talk? You know, and how he was saying, hey, the roster, the line's good, the roster looks good. I thought he was just, maybe he knew the state of the roster, but he was just saying it because he's a coach. But what do you think? I mean, you really think he misjudged the state of the team?
Well, I think there's some truth to be said about what you're saying, Mike. You have to be positive about your players on TV or in the public or with the media, especially going into the season. You don't want them to think that you're that bad. But in the same breath, hopefully there was some coach speaking there, and he didn't see. And I'm an offensive line guy. He didn't see that offensive line in reality being as good as he was saying. Now they did lose the left tackle early, and that really is a significant loss.
Yeah.
But the offensive line has been an issue for them all year, and other positions, as we see. You had the receiver that was not happy, goes and now he's a star, signs an extension with the Jags. So it's a tough business, Mike, as you know. But I don't want to see anybody one and done. Mike's battling a little bit of cold that I had for 3 weeks.
Somebody's going to have to replace me potentially. All right, so let me ask you this, Coach, staying with the Raiders. Lots of people think the best thing the Raiders can potentially do in this 3-week season we have left is actually lose out, meaning lose the rest of these games so they can secure a chance at a better pick in the NFL draft in April. So what's your take on just that, before we even get to this of tanking, before we even use that word, just is it the best thing if they actually do lose for Raiders fans?
Well, if they lose out
Yeah.
and they get the first pick and they're in competition with a couple other not so good football teams, the Titans and the Giants that you see up there, yes, it'd be a good thing for them. Especially, we'll talk about that a little bit later in this segment. But I don't see the word tank coming into play. As a professional competitor, there's no way you're going to go out there and miss tackles on purpose, drop the pass, fumble the ball. I don't think that is going to be in anybody's mantra, anybody's mindset. Does it happen that they might lose out? Yeah, they might. They might just lose out because they're not very good, and there's a lack of confidence there right now. But I don't think it's because anyone's tanking.
So let me ask you this, tanking. You've been in that top job, a head coach. Have you ever been in a position, or even when you maybe weren't a head coach, or buddies of yours, has anybody you have ever known as a coach in the NFL had pressure from ownership to actually lose, to secure a better pick? Has there ever been a whiff of that? You've ever even, maybe it was insinuated but not even spoken?
I've heard whiffs of it, and I've heard it insinuated.
Really?
I have not witnessed it. I have not talked to anyone that told me that they were asked to tank or lose by management, by ownership. But let me say this, and I don't know if this is going to be your next question, but I'll jump in on this. This is time to look at the young guys. And just because you look at the young guys, is this guy part of our future? Right. That doesn't mean you're tanking. It means
you're evaluating your roster.
You got to do it. They got 3 games where they can go in and show you what they have and say, okay, we're bringing him back to training camp. He's got a chance. You know, he's had a great season in practice. Yeah, all right, he made a couple plays. So you never know when there's that Ruby out there.
Right. We always talk about those Rubies, and this guy is certainly a Ruby we're going to be talking about right now. Heisman Trophy winning quarterback from Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. He's currently the number 2 ranked prospect coming into the draft in April. And your son, Nate Tice, who does great work with Yahoo Sports and NFL Network, he ranks quarterbacks for the NFL draft. What does he say about Mendoza?
Well, first of all, I'm very blessed that you changed the wording of that question, because you asked me to talk about what I thought of Mendoza. I have no idea. I haven't followed.
Well, you played college quarterback.
I played college quarterback, but listen, Mendoza, I hear, is nothing but a character kid. So you're bringing that character into your building. He's won. He beat Oregon in Oregon this year. Let's see how he fares in this playoff. And I think they'll do real well because their defense is a lot better than people think.
Yeah.
I like him. And yeah, man, if he was there for the Raiders, I think they'd jump all over him.
Yeah, him and Dante Moore, the other guy that everybody's talking about. But that's why, potentially losing or tanking, whatever you want to talk, that is important once it gets to the last 3 weeks of the season, because if they win out, hey, they're not going to have a chance at Fernando Mendoza.
Right, and already Arch Manning has said he's coming back, so he's out of the mix.
Yeah.
So there's your guy.
All right, if Nate Tice likes him, then I like him.
Me too.
That's my take. All right, guys, we'll be back right after these words. Next, it's time for Odds and Ends. All right, welcome back. It's time for Odds and Ends, our favorite time of the show. So, Coach, let's start with the turnover differential from last week, Week 15.
Well, last week was the only week that every team that won it won the game. This week it went back to those a couple of anomalies, 11-4 teams that were +1 or better. The teams that it's interesting, the Bears are +20.
Yeah.
The Texans are +14. The Jaguars are +10, and the Steelers are +10. Those are the top teams. 3 of those 4 lead the division, and of course the Texans are in second place behind the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And I think that's significant because we've been spending a lot of time all season. You've given me the opportunity in the last segment to talk about my baby, as you call it, the turnover ratio, and it's holding true to form. Look at these records, Mike. 104, 63, and 1 are for teams with a +2 or better differential, and 77, 132, and 1. Now, how does that help? We're in Vegas. How does that help people bet the games or pick the games? I just think it's what holds true is the teams that turn the ball over constantly, like the Seahawks, right? They're a turnover machine. They just have such a good football team. They were able to overcome that last night. But some teams are not good enough. Denver and the Seahawks are the 2 anomalies that have the minus differential and are in first place. Right. And so that's something I believe in. I think a lot of coaches, when you hear coach speak, talk about don't turn the ball over, create a turnover, get an extra possession.
Right.
It's something that I think will always hold true to form.
It's super fascinating. It might not be the sexiest stat out there,
no,
but it's a good thing to definitely take a look at and consider as you're betting on these games, as you're cheering for these games. It's very important. And take a look at how that impacts the divisional battles, Coach. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, like I said, the Eagles, going into last night, Mike, 6 of the 8 leaders were division leaders. 6 of the 8 were the turnover differential leaders in that division. You see them up there, Buccaneers +9, Rams were in first +9, so that's changed. So now there's 5 of 6, but who knows how the rest of the season. We talked about scheduling. But, if you're going to win that turnover differential each and every week, you're going to give yourself to be on the top of those divisions. as you see on the graphics that James, our producer, put up there.
Okay, and season long, I mean, we've been taking a look at this. It's been such a great thing to just take note and see how this is going on season long. Do you have any last words?
No, I just think going down the road here, weather's going to take a play in the turnovers. I think the teams that are consistently creating the turnovers, there's a number of teams out there that have created 20-plus turnovers, and we talked already about that the Bears are on the top of that heap with plus 30. When you create a turnover and give your offense, it might not be a great offense, but give your offense enough extra possessions, that adds up.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such a big stat.
It certainly does. And Coach, as we're wrapping up a tremendous season here on the Coaches Cut, we want to thank you for all your great time, all your effort, all the energy, the wisdom that you gave this show. Also, all the great guests. I don't know how many of them loved it, because you said people are starting to call you a black cloud now.
Well, the problem, when I went back and looked at it, Mike, we started with Pete Carroll. We had Andy Reid on. We had Kevin O'Connell on.
They're all going to miss the playoffs.
I know. I know.
The first time the Chiefs missed the playoffs. But listen, you talk to him all the time. It's not your fault.
I talk to him every week, but he's never been on our show before.
It's okay. Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're the black cloud. Look at it. We had Todd Downing on. They lost the next week.
Hey, you know what? Don't put that on. Don't blush. It's okay. Yeah. I think if we do this baby again, everybody's going to come back and want to talk to you. Don't you think?
I love it. They loved it. Everyone says, thanks for having me on. I'm like, really? Okay. So they enjoyed it. We got a quote, though.
One quote. 10 seconds left.
All right, Babe Ruth. You just can't beat the person that never gives up.
Hey,
Babe Ruth. Just ask the Seahawks that question.
We never give up. Thank you, Coach. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll see you next time on the Coach's Cut.